call on government orders of the day numbers 2 to 5.
Home and Community Support, Payment for Travel Between Clients Settlement Bill, Committee Stage. Radiation Safety Bill, Committee Stage. Weathertight Homes Resolution Services Amendment Bill, Committee Stage continued. Radio New Zealand Amendment Bill, Committee Stage continued.
I declare the Housing Committee for consideration of the Home and Community Support Payment for Travel Between Clients Settlement Bill and the Radiation Safety Bill, and for further consideration of the Weathertight Homes Resolution Services Amendment Bill and the Radio New Zealand Amendment Bill. Mr Chairman.
Mr Speaker. I haven't got to that stage yet. When I've called what we're doing, then you can have a point of order. So it relates to the process? Yeah. Well, I'll just first of all read what we're going to do, then I'll accept a point of order. Members, the Housing Committee for consideration of the Home and Community Support, Payment for Travel Between Clients Settlement Bill and the Radiation Safety Bill, and for further consideration of the Weathertight Homes Resolution Services Amendment Bill and the Radio New Zealand Amendment Bill. Point of order, Joanne Hayes. I
move that all provisions be taken as one question for the purposes of the debate with a vote on each question.
Now this relates to the Home and Community Support, I take it? Yeah. So it's been sought that all the provisions be taken as one question. Leave is sought for that purpose. Is there any objection? The question then is that the preamble, parts 1 to 3, schedules 1AA to 3, and clauses 1 and 2 stand apart. The Honourable Anna King.
Mr Chairman, I'm very pleased to take a call on the committee stages of this very important bill, the Home and Community Support Payment for Travel Between Clients Settlement Bill, because this is a bill that has been in gestation for quite some time, and it really arises from a settlement that arises from work that the Human Rights Commission did in a ruling they gave some years ago, saying that the travel time for those spent travelling between clients, the home and community support workers, should be remunerated. And this happened, as I said, several years ago. But it all really started, Mr Chair, when a member of the PSA, Jenny Goodman, and the PSA took a test case to claim on behalf of hundreds of fellow home care workers. So the genesis of the settlement came from a brave woman standing up and being prepared to say, I will take this case with the backing of my union. And I commend the PSA for backing Jenny and taking this case. So when you hear criticisms of unions, you've got to say they're misinformed, because this really shows the power of a union backing their workers to get justice and to get the right outcome for very vulnerable workers. And Mr Chairman, you cannot get much more vulnerable worker than those who work in this area. And so what has happened in this settlement is that the unions and the employers, they sat down and they worked together. It is an agreement between the Crown, the district health boards, the providers of the home and community-based care and support services, and certain unions. And they came up with the settlement. They worked through this settlement to have what is now a historic underpayment of home and community support workers. And so it wasn't an easy process for them, because they had to come to agreement and come forward with what they believed would be a satisfactory resolution to this issue. And what they have arrived at in this bill, which has been supported by the employers, and in my second reading speech, I read out a number of the submissions provided by those employers who said they totally support this bill. It has been arrived at by the unions who were involved, by the district health boards and by the Crown. And I give credit to all of them for the work that they have done in coming to this settlement. So the objectives of this legislation is to ensure that these employees will be compensated in accordance with this bill at the minimum wage for qualifying travel time from the 1st of March 2016. That they will be compensated at no less than 50 cents per kilometre for the qualifying travel costs as prescribed by regulation, and that the employees will abandon any claim under the Minimum Wage Act 1983 for payment for travel between clients, taken them before the enactment of this bill and after the commencement after the commencement are prevented from bringing a claim that travel between clients and work under the Minimum Wage Act, and also following the commencement of the bill, any prior agreement between the employees and the employer relating to travel by the employee would be unenforceable. So really, this is a settlement to deal with this particular issue, these particular workers, these in particular companies. And so what it does, Mr. Speaker, is to ensure that when these workers, and they're overwhelmingly women, go out and perform their role in the home and the community, that they are paid when they travel between one client and the next. And I've already set out the arrangement for paying them. But when you think about it, why should these women, nearly all of them on the minimum wage, then pay for their travel to go and provide that service, that vital service to vulnerable New Zealanders, mainly older New Zealanders wanting to stay and live in their home? And what we heard about at the Select Committee, and we've debated here in the House with the first and the second reading, is that we have other workers who go out and provide services to clients. They could be the local electrician or the local plumber, and they include, Mr. Chairman, and they include in their costs the cost of travel between clients, but not for these employees. And it just seems shameful to me that in their old car, using their petrol, they were expected to pay to go and provide this service on the minimum wage. And I don't believe there are many New Zealanders out there who have been the beneficiaries, or their parents or their grandparents have been the beneficiaries of home care and community support, that would not have supported such an approach to ensure that they are funded and they are provided with the appropriate travel for this very important role. But I have to say that it is not the end of the work that needs to be done. This is a settlement that deals with this particular issue. But it doesn't deal, and it's been said in the second reading, as I said myself, it doesn't deal with the historic underpayment of these workers in terms of what wages they are paid. And I don't believe that the minimum wage, and this is based on a payment on the minimum wage, I don't believe that the minimum wage is good enough for this work, because we are going to need literally tens of thousands of home and community workers to provide our health services within the community over the next few years. As our population ages, as more people want to stay in their homes and have their health care provided very close to where they've lived, if not where they've lived for many years, then we're going to need more of these workers. They are a very valuable workforce for us, and we're going to need thousands of them. And so this settlement deals with part of what we want to do, but it does not address the need for us to have a better agreement in terms of what happens to these people in the future in terms of their wages. In fact, this bill does not deal with what is called Part B, a Part B settlement. So that has not been dealt with at all. So the Part B has been is something that will, and it's the Part B of the settlement agreement is to the establishment of a regularised and workforce and review of the home and community health sector. So that is not included in it, but it is raised, and I noticed that we have members from officials from the Select who came to the Select Committee, and we questioned on this issue and the need to have a well-trained workforce. That work, I know, is now underway and going to be very important in the future. The other thing I wanted to say that was actually added by the Select Committee, and this was a Select Committee that worked very, very hard on this bill and worked across all parties. We wanted to do it as quickly as possible. We have brought this bill back to the House in very quick time so that we can get the settlement in place, knowing how important it is. And so, working very closely together, we agreed on all the amendments, and one of them was to include the accident corporation in the bill. And it's included in the bill because the home and community support workforce provides services under contract to ACC. And so they are mentioned in this bill, and they are, as part of the settlement, a similar arrangement to that is between the home care support employees and the ACC will be negotiated. So I think that was a very good inclusion in the bill by the Select Committee. And otherwise we would have continued with what we often do in New Zealand, having a two-tier system. And certainly with ACC, those who are covered by ACC get a much better deal than those who are covered by Vote Health. And so this is helpful in sorting that out because they are now included in it. So, Mr Speaker, the Labour Party fully supports this bill, and I'm glad it's been taken as one part. The main part of this bill is in the second part, and by including it all together, we're able to have this wide-ranging debate. We fully support it and look forward to its implementation as soon as possible.